Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a king who had 12 beautiful daughters. Despite being princesses, they were always sad and exhausted. Each morning, their slippers would be worn out, as if they had been dancing all night. The king was perplexed and concerned for his daughters' well-being. He desperately wanted to uncover the mystery behind their tiredness and the worn-out slippers. The king declared that any man who could solve the mystery would be granted one of his daughters' hands in marriage and also be rewarded with a generous amount of gold. Many princes and adventurers came from far and wide, hoping to win the challenge, but all of them failed. None of them could discover where the princesses went at night or how their slippers were worn out. One day, a humble soldier named Frederick arrived at the kingdom. He heard about the king's challenge and was determined to solve the mystery. Frederick possessed a cloak that made him invisible when he wore it, a gift from an old woman he had helped in the forest. He approached the king and offered to solve the puzzle. The king, intrigued by Frederick's confidence, accepted his proposal. Frederick was given a room next to the princesses' chambers, and a small hole was made in the wall so he could observe their activities without being noticed. As evening fell, the 12 princesses, dressed in their finest gowns, left their room and descended through a secret trapdoor in the floor. Frederick, wearing his cloak, followed them down the concealed passage. The passage led to a magical forest with trees made of silver and leaves made of gold. Frederick watched in awe as the princesses danced their way through the enchanting landscape. The trees twinkled and shimmered, and the air was filled with laughter and music. He followed them until they reached a lake, where 12 handsome princes awaited them in 12 small boats. The princesses entered the boats and sailed to the other side of the lake, where a grand castle stood. Frederick realized that the princesses were enchanted by a spell that compelled them to dance every night in the magical castle. Determined to break the spell, he decided to seek help from an old woman who lived at the edge of the forest. The wise old woman provided Frederick with a special potion that would make the princesses sleep deeply, allowing him to break the spell. She instructed him to give each princess a cup of the potion, and their enchantment would be lifted. Following the old woman's guidance, Frederick returned to the castle the next night. He offered each princess a cup of the potion, and one by one, they fell into a deep slumber. The spell was finally broken. When the princesses woke up the next morning, they found Frederick standing before them. They were astonished to discover that their secret had been uncovered. However, Frederick assured them that he only wanted to help them and win the king's challenge. Impressed by his bravery and cleverness, the king fulfilled his promise. Frederick chose the youngest princess as his bride, as they had spent the most time together during the adventure. They were married in a grand ceremony, and the kingdom rejoiced. From that day forward, the princesses were free from the enchantment. They no longer had to dance every night and could finally live a normal, happy life. Frederick became a beloved prince, and he and his bride ruled the kingdom wisely and with great joy. And so, the tale of the 12 dancing princesses became a legend, reminding people of the power of courage, determination, and true love.